The Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God, was revealed by Lord Sri Krishna to Arjun at the beginning of the epic war of Mahabharata. A decisive battle between two sets of cousins, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, was just about to start on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjun laments to Sri Krishna that he is unable to cope with the current situation, where he has to kill his elders and teachers. He refuses to take part in such a battle and requests Sri Krishna to be his spiritual teacher and guide him on the proper path of action. Then the Supreme Lord starts imparting divine knowledge to Arjun. Let us listen to the conversation that takes place between Sri Krishna and Arjun, which forms the basis of the Bhagavad Gita, giving us souls of Kali Yuga the divine knowledge of Karam, Bhakti, and the surrender to the lotus feet of God. Let us all go to Kurukshetra 5,000 years ago and watch the divine Leela that took place between Arjun and Sri Krishna.
O Krishna, seeing my own family members lined up for battle here and ready to kill each other, my limbs are giving away and my mouth is drying up. My whole body is shuddering and my hair is standing on end. My bow, the Gandhi, is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning all over. My mind is in complete confusion. I am unable to hold myself steady any longer. O Krishna, the killer of the Keshi demon, I only see omens of misfortune. I do not foresee how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle.
Arjun realized that all the warriors on the battlefield, ready to shed blood, were none other than his own relatives, friends, and family. He was filled with remorse and fearful of performing his duty of fighting this war. The cause for this sentiment was his attachment towards his bodily relatives. He became forgetful of his spiritual existence, that he was not just a body. His affection of his bodily relatives had blinded his intellect. Seeing Arjun overwhelmed with pity, his mind grief-stricken, and his eyes full of tears, Sri Krishna spoke the following words.
My dear Arjun, how has this delusion overcome you in this hour of peril? It is not befitting an honorable person. It leads not to the higher abodes, but to disgrace. O Parth, it does not befit you to yield to this unmanliness. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O vanquisher of enemies.
I am confused about my duty and am full of anxiety. O Krishna, I am your disciple and I surrender to you. Please tell me what to do.
This is a great moment in the Bhagavad Gita, when for the first time, Arjun, who is Sri Krishna's friend and cousin, requests him to be his guru. Arjun pleads to Sri Krishna that he has been overpowered of karpanya dosh, or the flaw of cowardness in behavior. And so he requests the Lord to become his guru and instruct him about the path of auspiciousness.
While you speak words of wisdom, you're mourning for that which is not worthy of grief. The wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Never was there a time when you, I, and all these kings didn't exist, nor in the future shall any of us cease to exist. Just as the embodied soul keeps passing from childhood to youth to old age, similarly, at the time of death, the soul passes into another body. The wise are not deluded by this. The soul is neither born, nor does it ever die, nor, having once existed, does it ever cease to be. The soul is without birth, eternal, immortal, and ageless. It's not destroyed when the body is destroyed, Arjun.
O Krishna, how can one who knows the soul to be imperishable, eternal, and unborn kill anyone or cause anyone to kill?
Arjun, remember what I told you. The soul that dwells within this body is immortal. Therefore, you should not mourn for anyone. Besides, Considering your duty as a warrior, you cannot waver. Indeed, for a warrior, there is no better engagement than fighting for the upholding of righteousness. So far, I have explained to you Sankhya Yoga, or analytical knowledge regarding the nature of the soul. Now listen, Parth, as I reveal Buddhi Yoga, or the yoga of the intellect. When you work with such understanding, you will be freed from the bondage of karma. Now the Vedas deal with 3 modes of material nature, Arjun. Rise above the 3 modes to a state of pure spiritual consciousness. Freeing yourself from dualities, eternally fixed in truth, and without concern for material gain and safety, be situated in the self. Now surely you have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. Never consider yourself to be the cause of your actions, nor be attached to inaction. O Parth, when one discards all selfish desires and cravings of the senses that torment the mind and becomes satisfied in the realization of the self, such a person is said to be transcendentally situated.
O Janardhan, if you consider knowledge superior to action, then why do you ask me to wage this terrible war? My intellect is bewildered by ambiguous advice. Please tell me decisively the one path by which I may attain the highest good.
Arjun, the 2 paths leading to enlightenment were previously explained by me. The path of knowledge for those inclined towards contemplation, and the path of work for those inclined toward action. One cannot achieve freedom from karmic reactions by merely abstaining from work, nor can one attain perfection of knowledge by mere physical renunciation. Work has to be done as a yajna to the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. So, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties without being attached to the results. Do this for the satisfaction of God Himself.
Shri Krishna goes on to compare Karam Sannyas Yoga, the path of renunciation of action, with Karam Yoga, the path of work in devotion. He says we can choose either of the 2 paths, as both lead to the same destination. However, he explains that the renunciation of action is rather challenging and can only be performed flawlessly by those whose minds are adequately pure. Purification of the mind can be achieved only by working in devotion. Therefore, Karam Yoga is a more appropriate path for the majority of humankind. Shri Krishna then goes on to explain Yog Sadhana, or the spiritual practice for uniting the mind with God. He says, similar to a lamp that does not flicker in the windless place, a sadhak should practice keeping his mind steady in meditation. He agrees that it is difficult to restrain the mind, but it can be controlled by practice and detachment. Therefore, whenever it wanders away, one needs to bring it back and continue to focus on God. Then the mind gets purified and is established in samadhi, which is a joyous state where one experiences infinite divine bliss. This deep knowledge of yoga leaves Arjun with some more questions. Tomorrow, we shall see what Arjun asks Shri Krishna and how the Supreme Lord reassures him.